It's number one. One thing I noticed, I read a couple articles, and I was working on an article, decided not to kind of go through with it, but basically talking about the draft stigma that is given to certain quarterbacks. Quarterback number one, for example, we'll talk Deshaun Watson. What was the big thing out of him, or the one knock? Right, he won championships, or a championship. He beat Saban, but the knock was, oh, we don't know if he can look past his first read. Um, and it's funny because Robert Griffin got the same knock. Um, Lamar Jackson got the same knock. Michael Vick, same knock. Jameis Winston, same knock. And the thing about Jameis Winston that was crazy was, like, of all prospects, he's not the one that, should have been getting that knock. Of all of them that I just named, Jameis was kind of like, he was considered that kind of can't miss. But even then, it was like, oh, we don't know after the first read if he's capable of making good decisions. But we didn't hear that from Mark Sanchez or Marcus Mariota or, I mean, the dude Jake Locker from Tennessee. So it's just funny because you kind of see the difference in the portrayal in these certain quarterbacks, and there's just something we have in common with all of them. And I don't necessarily like it. I'm not really a huge fan. I'm also not someone who tries to like make things like super, super serious. So we will go into with the next topic of something a little less serious. It's kind of more funny. But this is the one where it's kind of like when I have a chance, I do like to bring attention to said topics so that,
Yeah.
It's a conversation to be had.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of my podcast, is to spark genuine, progressive conversation. It's not to convince anyone of anything or the other. It is purely to spark genuine, progressive conversation.
So Kev, this is something that I myself, like, I've talked about on this show in the past as well. And one thing for me as a Bears fan, we did a draft night show. I was
Mm-hmm.
super excited when they traded up and drafted Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
And the night that they passed on Deshaun Watson to go get Mitch Trubisky, the second they announced that pick, I turned off the TV. I went to bed. I was angry. And the first thing that I had said when we talked about it that draft night was, I said, the Bears are never going to be a successful organization until they come to the realization that they can actually draft a black quarterback, because that is one of the things that they have never really done. And the fact that they went out and got Justin Fields was great. Now they've got to go get the coach that can actually coach them. That would be a huge benefit for him. But you're right. I mean, that it has been, something that they had, has been a problem when it comes to, the mobile quarterback, the black quarterback. It's always been something that they've talked about. Can they read? Can they do this? One of my knocks on Justin Fields coming out of college was he tends to hold on to the ball too long. And that's still a knock I have on him now in the NFL, is that he's got to learn how to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker. I don't know if that stigma ever goes away, though, because this has been one of those leagues where it's progressing. I mean, we're starting to see a lot more mobile quarterbacks. The mobile quarterback is really starting to take over this league. So I don't know if it'll continue to be a thing. But why do you think that has been a thing? So we got no volume coming out of you right now, Kev.
Yeah, so I think it's been a thing is because of all the players that you said there, Michael Vick, Jackson, etc. Like, these haven't been pocket passers per se. Lamar Jackson as an NFL quarterback
me now?
still can't
we gotcha.
still cannot throw out of the pocket. Let's just be flat out honest. And he is one of the trashiest quarterbacks in the NFL because he is a running back playing quarterback position.
You stop with the blasphemy right now. He does this every time, Kev.
But
every time we talk Lamar.
But I don't think that stigma will ever get away, just because when you see these high-profile black quarterbacks, they are on teams like Ohio State. They're saying Justin Fields cannot read his second or third, spots on the field. He didn't have to. He had the best freaking receiver on the field. It was wide open. Why do you want to throw him to second receiver? You don't have to. So the only way that this stigma ever goes away is if, I don't know, the next 5 or 6 years, the best athletes, let's say Michael Vick, Justin Fields, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, they all go to Division II schools that don't have the best athletes, and then they still dominate with a pocket style type of approach. That's the only way the stigma will ever go away. Kev, this is your segment. What are your thoughts?
And so you're absolutely right. I don't think the stigma is going away, and that's because the top tier athletes aren't going to Division II schools or Division III schools. Also, if I want to be honest with you, I'm a little bit on the train with you on Lamar Jackson as far as a quarterback, but we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
No,
facts.
I think that he's a great football player. I'm not gonna call him a great quarterback. That's that's another conversation for another time
next week.
But my thing is back to Combs when you ask why I think that is. I think naturally, people tend to fear or cast off things that they don't understand or that they don't, like things they can't figure out, right? They don't understand. We call people like Kyrie Irving weird because what he's saying doesn't match our normal opinion. The NFL for so long has been a league where winning one type of way works. It used to be ground and pound. My quarterback didn't have to be that great, but I needed to have a great running back and dominant in the trenches, offensive and defensive line. And it wasn't until somebody decided, okay, yeah, I don't mind being the crazy one, to change the game. Now it's a passing game. It was stagnant quarterback. There was a time where Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, Ben Roethlisberger, like look at the quarterbacks I'm naming here, stagnant quarterbacks. And someone said, well, I'm going to go get this Vic kid, or I'm going to go get, there's a quarterback in the NFL has just been something that when you're looking for, and this is every position, honestly, in all sports, when you're looking for a quarterback, what are you looking for? Well, I don't want 5'11", Kyler Murray, unless he can do ridiculous things no one else can do. I want 6'6", Josh Allen with huge arm,
right,
huge potential. And the black mobile quarterbacks don't fit that. And when people are really, really good with their legs, and you have to find, and all they do is make plays, but in the world we live in, you got to find something. You want to say, oh, he's running because here's the biggest thing with Deshaun Watson. He holds the ball too long. But before that, it was, at first they said he can't read past the first read because he would look, if it's not open, he would take off. If he saw man coverage, he pretty much would drop back to take off. They said, oh, he's not reading the coverages. So then he said, okay, I'm going to start reading the coverages. I ain't got no offensive line, but you want me to sit here and read the coverages? That's what I'm going to do. So then he holds the ball too long, right? It's lose-lose. But he had the whole press conference where he sat there, reporter asked him a question, and he highlighted exactly what he's looking at on the field. He says, if the safety comes down, you do this. If he stays up, you do blah, 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 right? And people praised him for it. But it's like, no, it was always there. But when he stood there and waited for the reads to come, with no offensive line, he was holding the ball too long. When he took off because he had no offensive line, he can't make the reads. Yeah. And that's
I don't know what the scouts were thinking about when they were talking about him not being able to do, because all I saw all throughout his college career was a quarterback that knew how to win ball games and a quarterback that was ready to come into the NFL and dominate the way that he did it against Alabama in that championship game. The kid was just a proven winner. I hate it. Like, God, I don't know how the scouts that said Trubisky is a better draft pick than Deshaun Watson still have a job. If they still have a job, I don't know. I don't know how it's possible.
And it's crazy because when you get the quarterback position wrong, in the NFL, because when you're using a top pick, a number 1, 2, 3, first round, whatever pick on a quarterback, and you get that wrong,
Yeah.
you set your franchise back 5 years every time you do that.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. If the Bears would have went Watson, which the crazy part about that draft was like, I thought it was a no-brainer. I know I'm no scout and I know I'm no but I was just like, one, let's be honest, I didn't really know nothing about Mahomes. He was playing at Texas Tech.
Nobody did, and he was a losing
Right.
quarterback at
And
Texas
he was
Tech.
losing.
Average at
But I'm
best.
watching Deshaun Watson do things to Nick Saban that the only other quarterback I've seen do that is Johnny Manziel, but he obviously doesn't have Johnny Manziel qualities, right? In terms of the immaturity and things like that. I was like, he says all the right things. He's got the body for it. He's mobile. He gives you things that a lot of quarterbacks don't. And he's well coached, right? At Clemson. And like you said, he was a winner. And I think that sometimes that's a bit overblown, but there's a reason why Tom Brady goes to teams. They go from 8-8 to Super Bowl winners. Like there's something to be said about, such and such is a winner. Like I think that term was overused with like Tim Tebow, but there's something.
Tim
there's
Tebow was a
something-
winner though. I mean,
He-
he
but-
never got a chance after winning with Denver.
Yeah, look, listen. I'm not going. I don't care if you win a playoff game with 3 completions. I'm not putting that on you. And the whole he's a winner though. No.
Tom Brady
No.
wins them all the time with 3 interceptions.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, Tom Brady also comes back from up 28-3. I mean, down 28-3, and Tom Brady does the stuff against the Seahawks. And when he gets the ball, it's over with. Even though the Seahawks should have won that one, by the way, that was nuts.
So maddening.
But back to the topic. I was so surprised that like Deshaun was not. Like, I thought it was obvious, and I'm a North Carolina fan, and Mitch Trubisky was solid in college. He was better than Bryn Renner, who was the quarterback before him, and he was better than Marquise Williams, the quarterback after him. But he only had 1 year of college, and we didn't really know what he was. And I think that helped him. They thought, well, hey, he's closer to that prototypical what we want in a quarterback than Watson is. I think that's really what it comes down to. A lot of these owners are old school owners. A lot of these teams don't choose to have black quarterbacks.
Virginia McCaskey's only 104. She's not that old school.
So going back on topic here, while you were thinking, like my mind started to like spin here. When you think of a 6'5" white guy, what kind of position on on a football field or a basketball court do you think he is going to be? In my head, a quarterback and a post guy, right? When you think of a 6'5" black guy, what kind of player do you think he is going to be on the football field? A wide receiver. Yep. On the basketball court, a shooting guard, 2 guard. So with that being said, I mean, yes, it is a judgment by your height and color of your skin, but like I think that is why that mold will probably never be broken, because you will never get a 6'5" black quarterback. They will always be 6'3" and under. They will always if you're 6'5" and over, you are playing basketball or wide receiver.
Jamarcus
But
Russell was huge.
that is a big part of that is because who's the black quarterback now who's pocket passer more so than anything else. We're talking Teddy Bridgewater.
Mahomes.
And Mahomes is a unicorn. I really don't count him in any situations when we say these things. He's got the strong arm. He's got the mobility. He got to stand in the pocket and light you up. He doesn't count. We can't talk about him when we say these.
So your pocket passer, Russell.
Russell Wilson is pretty solid too, but is a pretty solid answer as well. But you got to remember, Russell Wilson be moving now. Russell Wilson holds the ball a long time, and a lot of his plays come off of he's just sitting there spinning around in the backfield, doing all this stuff, and defensive ends can't tackle him.
In the Russell Wilson's defense, he holds the ball for a long time because they give him 35 seconds to throw it.
Super long time.
Yeah, his offensive line gives him a ton of time to throw it.
I'm not sure. And your point about basketball, the NBA is a little bit different because like JJ Redick, right now, JJ Redick is 6'4". Like 6'5" at this point is a shooting guard, and they want your point guard. You want big guys.
Right.
But football, absolutely. When I think 6'5", fast, I want you a receiver, especially if you got hands. But now these, it's all going to be about just because you're 6'5", if you play quarterback in college, I'm going to, you're going to draft to play quarterback. This is why Lamar Jackson played quarterback at Louisville for 2-3 years, however long it was. And then they were like, hey, do you want to come play wide receiver? Because to your point, he had that body style of like, yo, he is super fast.
Yeah.
We can put him. And he was like, no, like I'm a quarterback. Hey, do you want to play running back?
Prescott a pocket passer?
Yes, and that's a great kind of counter to what I was saying, because one, I'm a Cowboys fan, Dak Prescott, but even coming out of Mississippi State, he wasn't a pocket passer. He was kind of like that read option power football, very similar to Cam at Auburn, not quite nearly as good. So for all listening, listen, I'm not saying that Dak in college was Cam in college, but that was him. He didn't really develop that. Let me sit here and read the reads until he came into a Jason Garrett offense that was all about timing and rhythm and things like that.
Right.
So to bring our conversation full circle, I agree. I don't think that stigma is going to go away. I don't know what has to happen, but a lot of the owners are old school, played old school football, have old school philosophies, and they're the ones who, when you run a business, you bring people in your business, you hire those who can help carry out your vision. So I'm not bringing a coach who just completely thinks the game different than me. I'm going to bring somebody who I at least, I like where his head is at. His head is near where my head is at. We got some things in common. We can make this work. That's kind of where we're at.
Yeah. So